Chapter 2 Bonus Content. Common Curses. So, lad, you're getting your sight straight in your first day's topside, so here's some advice. You're not just trading with kin. You're selling to all kinds of folk now, with different customs and tongues. As I've learned here, the most important part of any language is the gussing. It gets you trust. It gets you coin. Most elves you see in the city are servants, and a human looking for a fight might call one nigh fear. If the elf returns with shem or quick, blood's about to spill. Those Dalish elves use flat here to insult the ones who live with humans like an enlightened kin below, calling us stone blind up here. Even the humans who pray to some woman they burned alive and her god they call the Maker say something when they knock their shins. It's a curse to say, Andrastes. Well, anybody part, really. Maker's breath might get you in with a swaggering fool, but the lady priests won't be pleased. Chantry folk also don't like mages. If you hear a mage called to spellbound, hide anything flammable. Then there are all those beautiful words that just mean, sod it. When the loose cobblestone flips and the ankle cracks, an elf will cry, Fenitus. While a human might, damn it. A Quinari will mumble, Vashedon. I've even heard a couple Tevinters yell, Kaffir. If any of these get aimed at you, hopefully all that gets killed is a sail. Note from Hardle, a surface merchant dwarf, to an apprentice adjusting to life outside Orzammar. Darktown Steel. Ask the nobles of Orzammar how their kingdom gets silks and grain and wine from the surface, and they'll tell you trade with the surface occurs. It occurs as if on its own, with no traders or merchants or human farmers involved. A little miracle of dwarven ingenuity. The reality is a lot messier than their fantasy. Orzammar relies upon the surface not just for its prosperity, but for its survival. Ages of blights have taken thousands of things away from the dwarves. These were the places where most of the food was raised. The dwarven kingdom that endured alone, independent beneath the stone from time immemorial, perished in the first blight, faded into myth. Now, the remaining dwarves underground cling to existence through a lifeline to the surface, a chain forged from the casteless. Every dwarf who goes to the surface is stripped of caste, effectively exiled and removed from dwarven society forever. But Orzammar relies on continued relations with these exiles to live. This has created a shadowy area of dwarven trade and politics where the rich, powerful, and elite maintain secret ties to people who, by official decree, no longer exist. And everyone knows what kinds of things lurk in the shadows. The Carta lives in the underbelly of the surface trade like a tapeworm. Many surface dwarves maintain ties not officially recognized, of course, but respectable to their former houses in the noble or merchant castes, and those contacts are their means of trading with Orzammar. Those who have no ties, because they were cast off by their families or never had good connections, make the trip back underground to trade with Orzammar personally, where they find themselves treated like criminals. The casteless in Orzammar, even a wealthy one from the surface, will be driven away from most merchants, treated like he's carrying a plague at best. So these surface merchants turn to the Carta for help. The Carta acts as a contact in Orzammar for surface businesses and sells their goods on the black market. For a cut, of course. The Carta always gets its cut. The outraged citizens of Orzammar sometimes petition the Assembly to deal with the rampant crime surrounding the black market, and showy displays are made of kicking in the doors to Carta hideouts and raising dust town. But the Carta always comes back, because the Assembly always allows it. Too much of Orzammar is dependent on the black market trade, and the nobles know it. They all do business with the Carta. Everyone has a stake in its success. The Carta has 1,000 faces above and below the surface. Honest merchants and noble caste lords and upstanding members of the Merchants' Guild, all are cover for the thousands more smugglers, thieves, and murderers in the shadows. The lifeline of Orzammar, praise the ancestors. Excerpted from Darktown Steel by Varric Tethres. Trading with Cal Sharrock. My approach was carefully observed. This was not a fake unused to watching its boundaries. I got the impression that if I'd been one of his Orzamer cousins, our meeting would have been swift and bloody. That is, if I'd been allowed to find the passage at all. As it was, he was polite and efficient, and he knew well the current market for everything he offered. Clearly their isolation is not because of fear, and certainly not disinterest. Among his wares, I saw the latest fabrics of Val Roy Owen volumes by a free marcher poet 3 centuries dead. This only added to my doubt of the official year of Cal Sharrock's rediscovery, as declared by the Assembly of Orzamer. I didn't mention this to my host. As curious as I was, there was an undercurrent I found unsettling. I must stress that he and his helpers were professional and honest throughout. But there was something I can't describe. While he remained hooded the entire time, he looked me square in the eye when our deal was struck, unashamed. I lived through a time of blight. I felt the gaze of a Grey Warden and seen the corruption of his prey. Why I remember both in that moment, I still can't explain. On meeting Nova Sturhild in Cal Sharrock, excerpted from the journals of Sir Every Nibernake, noble merchant scholar. Detailed timeline of important events in Thedas is listed on the page bottoms of chapter 2. Page 24. Year negative 695 ancient. Western Tevinter splits away, forming the Anderfels. Year negative 695 ancient. Almedrius is assassinated, and his apprentice, Tidarian, inherits the throne. Civil war breaks out in the Imperium. Page 25. Year negative 640 ancient. Tidarian dies without an heir. As the war continues, magisters vie for power. Year negative 620 ancient. The Imperium establishes Emrius, later renamed Kirkwall, as a settlement for slaves, largely to mine the jetstone used for construction of the great temples of Meinradus. Year negative 620 ancient. The civil war in Tevinter ends with Archon Parthenius claiming the throne. Page 26. Year negative 535 ancient. After generations of independence, the Anderfels are retaken by the thriving Imperium. Year negative 410 ancient. A group of Kossith is believed to land in the South Korkari wilds, establishing a colony. They are likely killed off in the first blight, giving rise to the first appearance of augurs on the continent. Page 27. Year negative 395 ancient. In secret, a group of the most powerful Tevinter magisters open a gate into the Golden City, entering it physically. They are cast violently back into the physical world, twisted and corrupted the first Darkspawn. Page 28. Year negative 395 ancient. The first blight begins. Year negative 380 ancient. The Darkspawn multiply and attack en masse, concentrating at first on the underground deep roads used by the dwarves. As the dwarven thugs fall, the Darkspawn use the deep roads to reach the edges of the Imperium. They surface, and chaos ensues. Page 29. Year negative 355 ancient. The blight has yet to reach the Alimari. They are instead caught up in a war with the Avar. In the Battle of Red Falls, Alimari warrior Luthius Dwarfson fights Morag Cannon, Avar warrior Queen. Both die in the battle. The Order of Ash Warriors is founded in Dwarfson's honour. Page 32. Year negative 305 ancient. The Grey Wardens are founded at Weishaupt. Year negative 255 ancient. Paragon Caradum creates the first golem in an effort to better fight the Darkspawn scourge. Page 33. Year negative 248 ancient. Caradon vanishes, taking the secret of the golem's construction with him. The secret stays buried for ages. Year negative 203 ancient. Coordinating a massive army from across Thedas, the Grey Wardens defeat the arched Monjumat at the Battle of the Silent Plains, ending the First Blight. Page 34. Year negative 203 Ancient. The prophet Andraste is born in Ferelden. The exact year of her birth is hotly contested by scholars. Year negative 195 Ancient. Slowly, the last of the Darkspawn are cut down and forced underground. For the dwarves, the blight continues. For the surface world, the battle is over. Page 35. Year negative 195 Ancient. As the deep roads close, communication lines falter between the surviving dwarven kingdoms. Each elects its own king while maintaining allegiance to a high king in Orzammar. Year negative 191 Ancient. Intelligent darkspawn capable of advanced thought and speech are discovered. The warden Sajamiri captures Coryphus, who is said to be the greatest of these darkspawn. Page 36. Year negative 187 Ancient. Andraste marries Mafarath, an Illimari chieftain. Page 37. Year negative 186 Ancient. Andraste preaches of a new creator, whom she calls the Maker. The more she says, the more her following grows. Mafarath uses her teachings to unite the Illimari clans under his authority. Year negative 184 Ancient. The Imperium's influence recedes in southern Thedas as Minritus rebuilds. Page 40. Year negative 184 Ancient. The Chastened claim the fortress of Ostarga. Year negative 181 Ancient. Years spent studying Coryphus in captivity teach the wardens little, as his influence penetrates the minds of even the most powerful mages. The wardens seal him away deep in the Vimart Mountains, concealing his existence. Page 42. Year negative 180 Ancient. Mafarith's barbarian horde pushes north and begins an outright assault on the Tiventer abandons the island of Estwatch Imperium. Andraste's word spreads among oppressed Tiventer subjects and incites slave uprisings. Southern Tiventer begins to properly collapse. Year negative 180 Ancient. Tiventer abandons the island of Estwatch to focus on mainland troubles. The island remains largely uninhabited for ages. Page 43. Year negative 171 Ancient. At the Battle of Valerian Fields is fought between the Illimari and the Tiventer Imperium. Mafarath is victorious. Year negative 171 Ancient. At the Battle of Valerian Fields, the elven slave Shartan takes Mafarath's side and leads other elves in the fight against their Tiventer oppressors. He later converts and is made a disciple, only to have his writings suppressed following the exalted march of the Dales. End of Chapter 2, Races, Bonus Content Audiobook. Next part in this World of Thedas Volume 1 audiobook series is the start of Chapter 3, Nations, and Part 8 kicks off this new chapter in Ferelden.